guys, welcome to Lisa Lives. I am bringing you today April, I have to think what month it is, my April roundup, April favourites vlog. This one, for anyone that hasn't really watched any of my favourites vlogs before, this one is quite a bit longer than my normal ones. I like to just go through movies I've watched, if I'm listening to any specific music, books, telly, anything of note that's happened in the past month. So it is a bit longer, but I'm really hoping people will watch it, give it a chance, or even watch it in little segments, because I like to get to know more about other people other than the main content of their channel, so I'm hoping other people want to do the same. So I will kick off this month with my YouTube favourites. Right, I watch a lot of YouTube. I've gone from watching none this time last year, even as late as last summer. I didn't really watch any YouTube channels. I wasn't really aware that normal people were doing this. I know that sounds really naive, but it's true. As I always say, Two Vloggers More, one of my favourite channels, got me into doing it myself. And it was just because I enjoyed their vlogs so much, getting that little peek into their life, that I thought, yeah, I want to do that. To get to know people that like the same sort of things as me. And it's been awesome. Now if I don't mention your vlog here, it's purely because I've just tried to sum up a couple that I've been watching a lot, that people that, you know, I've been communicating with, or something that's really hit me as being quite a novel thing. One called Oddpod. Dan, that runs this channel, actually runs another called Dead Real that I have referred to in other vlogs, which is a horror channel. Oddpod is a nostalgia channel. Mostly at the moment, because it just came back in April after quite a long break. He has like puppets, and his puppetry is really, really good, and he'll like talk back and forth with him and his puppets and make it into a little sketch. It's a nostalgia channel in that he talks about childhood toys, and he'll have the actual toy there that he had as a child. Last month's was a Pog maker, if you remember Pogs. It's just a really fun way to do it. There are other nostalgia channels out there that are really good, but I like the way he makes it into a little sketch every week. There's like a real effort that's gone in there to be ingenious and a bit different, and it's really funny. So I really like that. I would recommend Oddpod if you do like looking back to, you know, things like Pogs. He went through Pokemon, Ghostbusters toys, all sorts. It's just a really fun channel. Another one, I left this one to this month because it just launched very recently. This is Warlock Home Video Network. Now this one is that I'm aware of. I may be wrong if there's more. We've got 4 people on this channel, 2 Chris's, a Casey and Carrie Elizabeth, and they run 3 channels within Warlock Home Video Network. Not channels as such, 3 different topics, I suppose. One is called It Crept from the 80s, complete 80s nostalgia vlog or channel, which is everything 80s toys, movies, soundtracks, everything. Another one, The Gory Days, which is dedicated to horror from the 80s. They don't just talk about 80s horror, they do talk about like modern as well, but it's a really, really fun show, and like all those movies you watched in the 80s, all those horror movies, all those memories just come flooding right back. They did their launch show a couple of weeks back, maybe it was only a week or so ago, and they discussed what got them all into horror when they were younger, and it was really, really interesting. And the other one is called Gourmet Scum Radio. I've still to watch this one, it's the one I have left. They only do one of each of these shows every month, and they are quite long. They're usually between an hour, 2 hours, but because they only do one a month of each, you know, you can take your time watching it in little bits, which is what I've been doing. Excuse me. But Gourmet Radio Scum's the only one I haven't got around to yet. They also did a really long in-depth spoiler review of Avengers, because they're massively into their superheroes as well. But yeah, that's a really fun channel. Chris from Warlock Home Video Network, who I've just talked about, used to be one half of New 80s Revolution. It's now a separate channel. He's now got his own channel, some other people working on board there, and yeah, I'd really recommend it. It's really good. They're really nice people. So yeah, you want nostalgia, head over to Warlock Home Video Network. I got a drink before I started this because I thought I'm going to start coughing, and I have. And what did I do with the drink? I spilt the drink on the floor. I'm going to have to go and refresh the drink. I have returned with a drink. Pepsi Max. I need to be paid for saying that, Pepsi Max. Let's see if we can get to the end of the video without me knocking this over, because I'm a total klutz. Okay. Let me see. Who have I... So I've did Oddpod, Warlock.com Video Network. I'm going to mention one more for this, which is called Call Me Kim. This one's quite different. Anyone that watches my channel or knows me at all will know that this last month we booked for Disney. It'll be the first time for us going to Florida, going to Disneyland, Disney World, sorry. And I watch a channel called Crispy S'more quite a bit. Obviously Tim Tracker I watch, it's awesome. Everyone that likes Disney watches Tim Tracker. Crispy S'more I've been watching also. And Steph from Crispy S'more recommended this channel, Call Me Kim. It's basically, to cut it down, one of the things that this lady does is she has a segment called Too Fat For. So I worry because I'm a larger girl. I'm hoping to cut that down a bit before Disney. You worry, are you going to like fit in the little seats when they put the harness down? Is it going to like click? I had a nightmare once at Alton Towers in England. There's a ride called Air, and when I went to go on it, a little light lit up at the front with my seat number, and they come back and it hadn't been clicked. It needs to like press and click 3 times I think, and mine had clicked twice. If you're large busted, sometimes the harness that comes over your head and clicks into place won't fully click, and this guy leant on it with really leant on it and got it clicked closed. But I spent the entire ride crapping myself that I was going to fall out. So yeah, she does this vlog where she talks about restrictions if you're a wheelchair user, if you're really tall, because she's very tall. I don't have that issue. So things like legroom, and she discusses like the width of things, and like if you're large busted, what's, you know, that sort of thing. And I've been finding it really useful, what really to be aware of. She did one quite recently on Universal, and I know she previously did one for Disney, the Disney park, so I have to go back and look that up and see what rides my fat behind can fit on. So yeah, that's the channels I mainly want to talk about on this month. I want to give a shout out just very briefly to a few new horror channels that I've subscribed to in the last month. I have subscribed to quite a few, and some lovely people out there. I've been chatting to them, and just lovely people. But the ones I want to give a shout out to are The Horror Man, Horrific Nightmares JM, The Last Shoegazer, and Sean Ershin. These guys are just lovely. Really nice, really decent, friendly. The type of people, if you comment on their videos, they will reply, always. I find a lot of people, you can put a lot of energy into comment, and then personally I am a commenter. If I watch something, I will always comment about something that I've watched. Even if I haven't seen what they're showing, I'll say, oh, I haven't seen that. But a lot of people just don't bother to get back to their subscribers and people that comment. These guys all do. And they're just lovely guys. They just made me feel so welcome in the horror community, and yeah, just really nice people. Now you can see why these things are quite long each month. I do apologise for the lengthiness. So that was YouTube channels. I'll move on to movies now. I usually watch, well, I think on this list there's about 30 movies. I do usually watch a movie a day, or some days I don't watch one and another day I'll watch 2. So I'll run you down which ones I've seen. Some I'll talk about, some I'll probably not say very much at all. So, Game Over Man. That was really funny. I put this on expecting the usual old comedy dross. I think sometimes when humour tends to be a bit shocking and a little bit crude, it creases me up. It makes me... If you remember the first American Pie, when the whole... everything that happened with the pie and with him being like filmed and broadcast on the internet, it was all quite new, that type of humour, and it was quite shocking and it was really funny. Well, this has got quite a few bits like that in, and it really made me laugh. It made my husband laugh, and he's quite hard. It's quite hard for a comedy to satisfy him, and he did enjoy that. So Game Over Man, that was called. The Last Showing. That is... oh, Jesus, this is going to start again. the last showing, it is a horror with Robert Englund. Is it Englund? Englund, yeah. He basically works as a projectionist in a cinema, and he wants to make his own horror movie. And there are a couple going to a midnight show, and they're the only couple in the screen, and he is like determined to make this movie and put them through absolute hell. It's quite entertaining, quite fun. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but it wasn't bad. I thought it was going to be crap. I will be honest, I check IMDb ratings before I watch something, not to put myself off watching it, because I usually watch it anyway. But it rated really low on there. I think it was a bit unwarranted how low it actually rated. Right, The Vanishing of Sydney Hall. It's really hard. This is like a month ago. I think I really enjoyed that. It tells the story of 3 different segments of a author's life. One is at school, the second is really rich and famous and like is winning prizes, and in the third he has become like a recluse. He's just buggered off. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those movies with no real a lot of people need a payoff, need something specific to happen in a movie. This one is just a story, and it's something something I really enjoyed. Isle of Dogs. Right, I went to the cinema to see this. I think it's quite different than what a lot of people will expect. It's got a lot of Japanese in. It's very Japanese in its style. It's quite dark. Isaac went to see it. I took Isaac, and he really enjoyed it. But I think a lot of the commentary and a lot of what it was about, he wasn't quite understanding. He just liked watching the stop-go animation of the little dogs. But yeah, it was a really good movie, quite powerful. Yeah, it's probably one I will buy and watch again, because I think it's one of those you will catch something new each time you watch it. So yeah, I like that one. Insidious, The Last Key. Meh, just one of those run-of-the-mill horrors that just nothing to write home about. I'm really sorry, guys. This has been, I think I've had this cough for a month now. I really need to get to the doctors, I think. Oh, dear me. The Hurricane Heist. I just have memories of it being crap. Awful. Small Town Crime. I put this one on and I lost interest in a big way. My husband watched the rest of it and he said it was okay, it wasn't fantastic, it wasn't awful. I just switched off. The Betrayed. I quite enjoyed this one. It's got Melissa George in from Triangle. And if you're old enough to remember, she played Angel in Home and Away. She's popped up in quite a few horrors over the years. This one, I wouldn't really call it a horror. She is kidnapped. Her and her son are kidnapped in this movie because her husband has messed with the wrong people, basically, and has conned them out of a lot of money. And she is kept captive to try and sort out the issue, and it goes places I didn't expect, and the storyline doesn't go the way I thought it would. I was pleasantly surprised by that one, so that's The Betrayed. Father Figures. Owen Wilson and Ed Helms. Just a nice, pleasant little family no, it's not family comedy. It's a comedy about a family. They're brothers, and they find out that the person that they thought was their father isn't, and they set off on a mission to find their real dad. Yeah, it's quite good fun. The Stray. This was nearly Marley and Me all over again. The Stray is about a stray dog who finds a family and stays with that family, and they have adventures, and it was something we sat down with Isaac to watch because he loves movies about animals, and I think I've given away what happens by saying it was like Marley and Me. Disgusted. Downsizing. Matt Damon. This was trashed. I saw a trailer about this and thought it looked quite good fun, and then I was reading everywhere it was one of the worst movies ever. But I watched it. It's quite long. It's over 2 hours long, and I really, really enjoyed it. Really interesting premise. If anyone doesn't know, in the future, just all of the world's resources are running out. So these scientists come up with this idea where they can shrink people to like that, really, like inches, and you can afford to like live in a mansion, and you can have a lifestyle like nothing you've ever imagined, and it's basically about the process and what happens after the process, and I find it really interesting. I really enjoyed that, so excuse me, I would recommend it. Midnight Special. Okay, I think if I was in a different mood I might have enjoyed it more. It was about a boy with gifts. I don't want to give too much away. And his father and a friend are trying to take him somewhere far away from the government, who are trying to get their hands on him. I'll not say why, I'll not say what's special about him. It had an interesting premise, but it fell a bit to an arse for me at the end. I just thought it could have been better. I, Tonya. This is about the ice skater Tonya Harding. I knew little bits about this, but not the whole palaver. Obviously, she's a very famous American ice skater, world champion. It's her life story. It's about what happened surrounding the infamous injuring of one of her main competitors. It was really good, really interesting, taught me a lot I didn't know. I went and sought out some real footage of Tonya Harding after having watched the movie and her skating, and some of the actual exact things that happened on telly and exact performances were recreated in this movie. And I have to say, the girl that plays Tonya is just spot on. She just does an amazing job. She just encapsulates Tonya Harding perfectly. I would really recommend it. It's a really good movie. A Quiet Place. I reviewed this in another vlog. If you want to go and have a little look-see in my movie review section. Went to the cinema to see it. Really, really good. Really enjoyed it. Greatest Showman. Oh, my husband hates musicals. If he goes to see a movie and somehow does not know it's a musical, as was the case with Sweeney Todd with Johnny Depp, he cringes all over, hates it. So I hadn't watched this when it came out, because sometimes I want to watch a movie with him, not by myself. Oh my dear God, my jumper's falling off. But I watched it one night in bed, and I loved it. I absolutely adored it. The music, like half hour into the movie, I was like, I have to have this soundtrack. I love this. It's just, I adore it. They could have maybe done a little bit more with the story, but what they did do, I loved. So yeah, The Greatest Showman with, I want to say Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. The Commuter with Liam Neeson. This was a really interesting little story. It's about Liam Neeson is a commuter on a train which he travels on every day, and he is approached by a mysterious woman and asked to do something, and if he does this one thing he will have a financial reward. I'm not going to say what he does or does he do it or what happens, but it was really, really good. I love Liam Neeson. I'm biased. Liam Neeson is from Ballymena, where I'm from. Liam Neeson went to school with my mum and dad. I know I've said this all before, but people that are new wouldn't maybe know. And my claim to fame, this is really sad that this is my claim to fame, Liam Neeson's mum was my dinner lady at school. And my granny made sure, make sure Lisa's eating her dinner. And she always made sure that I ate my dinner. So yeah. Coddled by Liam Neeson's mother, Kitty. Lovely woman. As is Liam. He's not a lovely woman, he's a lovely guy. He comes back to Ballymena, doesn't tell anyone that he's coming back to see his family, and he will go. There's a little pub, a little dingy little quiet pub called the Cozy Corner in Ballymena. I think it's called the Cozy Corner. And he goes in there and he has a pint at the bar with everyone else because no one bothers him. He doesn't get all this obviously people admire it from its own time, but it's just a little pub that local older men go to and sit and have a pint on an evening, and Liam can go in there and nobody hassles him. People will talk to him like anyone else, like a normal person, and he loves that. He doesn't like grandiosity or, like, oh my god, it's Liam Neeson. But yeah, so The Commuter, Liam Neeson, I really enjoyed that. Last Flag Flying. I loved this movie. I didn't expect to. It has Steve Carell, Bryan Cranston and Lawrence Fishburne in as three, what's the word? Oh my god, I can't believe I've forgotten what they call. They used to be in the forces years ago and they had seen some serious stuff. And, should I say? I think it said in the trailer, Steve Carell's son has died. he was a soldier also, and his father, Steve Carell, wants to bury his son, and he's got no one to do it with him, to go with him, and he's a bit frightened of going to get the body from when the army bring it back. So he goes and seeks out his two old comrades, Bryan Cranston and Lawrence Fishburne, who have went in very different directions in life. And it's a story about these three guys trying to going to collect this man's son. It's just a beautiful movie. It's funny as hell, and I know that sounds strange to say. It's not a comedy. It's dramatic. It's sad. It's powerful. It's funny. It's a wonderful piece of film. It's a fantastically acted. I really, really highly recommend that. It's called Last Flag Flying. A Good Marriage. Who was in that? It's a Stephen King story about a woman happily married, discovers this stuff about what her husband is behind closed doors that she didn't necessarily know before. A bit lackluster. Infinity War. Yes, everyone knows what we thought of that. There's a review up. We all loved it. Don't Kill It with Dolph Lundgren. Right, I have to mention this one because an exceptionally high amount of men like movies that are so bad they're good. This is so bad it's good. The special effects in this are hilarious. Just some of the stuff when you're watching, and I don't even want to tell you because it's just, you have to see it and have a laugh at it yourself. I don't know if I think it's meant to be tongue-in-cheek, but it's really funny. The premise of Don't Kill It is different people get, I think this has been done in other movies, different people get possessed by this like evil spirit, and when they die it goes into the next person. I think that happened in the Denzel Washington film. Was it called Fallen? Or am I imagining that? Can't remember. But this like evil entity keeps going into different people as different people die, and it's over the top, gory and stupid and funny. So yeah, that's Don't Kill It. Sequestrados, known as The Kidnapped. This is a Spanish movie. I heard about this on a couple of people's channels. I do apologise, but the first person that mentioned this also mentioned the movie called Bedeviled, which is a Korean movie, which I have got that to watch as well. I haven't watched that as yet, but I watched Sequestrados. Also, Channel Dawn Star recommended. I don't know, recommended. Yeah, he did recommend, but it's a very powerful, very dark movie, and he did say he found it quite difficult to watch. I watched it a couple of nights ago. Spanish movie. It was a really good movie. I think I was by people saying how difficult it was, I thought it was going to be more harrowing than it was. It was harrowing. Don't get me wrong, it was a harrowing movie, but I've seen more harrowing movies, and I kind of knew what happened at the end, which you don't want to go into it knowing what's going to happen, but unfortunately bits of it were given away in one of the reviews that I watched. So yeah, I would recommend it, Sequestrados, but don't read any reviews about it before you watch it. Really enjoyed this next one. It's called El Bar. It's Spanish. Just really, really different little movie about a group of people all in a cafe in Spain, and something happens outside. I'm not going to say what happens, but weird things are afoot, and all these people have to try and save themselves, figure out what's going on. They all turn on one another. People die. Not going to say who and why, and it's called El Bar, and I do recommend it. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was well worth watching. Right, I've only got 4 left. Like Me. I watched this a couple of nights ago. It got really bad reviews on IMDb, but someone gave it a 1 out of 10, but then the next person I think gave it an 8 or a 9, and it mentioned that it's got quite surreal bits in. I'm not a fan of that sort of thing. I like my stories pretty straightforward with what's happening. I watched it. Bits of it I liked. The real bits, I'm gonna have another drink. The bits of stuff that was actually happening in real time, I liked. The little bits that it put in, as I call it, arty-farty. You know the way is it D'Argento or Argento? Has got a real habit of messing with colour with like red and blue in different scenes to convey certain things. I'm not an arty-farty person. I don't want to be arted and farted around, to be quite honest. Well, I get farted around quite often in this house with the men in it. But, yeah. It was, if you like your movies that little bit more intelligent, that little bit more arty-farty, you probably like it. I could have done without the arty-fartiness. I'm a simple person. American Violence. I watched this last night. Thoroughly bored the arse off me, and the performances were just, the acting was atrocious. The concept was a strong one, was a good one, could have been really good, but no. What do you call the girl that was in it? Denise Richards was in it. Really, I wouldn't waste my time. The only two we've got left here are Truth or Dare, which I saw at the cinema by accident. I went to see something else and it wasn't on. It was okay. I think I maybe been unnecessarily harsh with it. Judging it against horrors that I really like. It's okay. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not the best thing I've ever seen. It's worth a watch on DVD. I certainly wouldn't have paid to go see it at the cinema by choice. And lastly, one called 1922. This was one on Netflix. This was quite an interesting little film. About a man and his wife and his son. And the man does something quite horrible. And, just let's say he doesn't get away with it. Things happen. I don't want to say what. Right, can you hear the dog downstairs? Off. And my husband shouting, "Shut up!" Very, very barky little dog. Don't know what it is about little dogs and barking and noisiness. But yeah, or Molly's a yappy little sod. Yeah, so that'll do me for movies. I think I've probably seen more, but I tend to try and share my movies on Facebook when I'm watching them, purely because then Facebook keeps a list of what I've seen, and that's why I do it. But sometimes I forget, so there are maybe more movies that I'm not remembering on there. I dread to think how bored you are now. Switch off and come back a later date. That's me done with movies. Now, books. This is going to be really short because I'm a disgrace. I started this year wanting to read more, and I set myself a challenge of 12 books a year. I know that sounds ridiculously low, but for someone that doesn't really get the time to read and usually chooses different things to do in their downtime, it is a challenge for me. So I think I've read about 5. If I counted kids' books, I've read tons because I read to my son every night. So that's loads and loads and loads and loads of books, mostly bloody Star Wars. But yeah, so I finished the book I was reading last month called Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney, which it was okay. It was a story about a woman who is in a coma, and through the whole book you're trying to work out what happened to put her there. It bounces back and forward to her childhood, to like when she's a teenager writing a diary. It bounces back to just before the event, whatever it was that happened. And then it bounces back to present day where she's in a coma. She's aware of everything that's going on around her. She can hear everything, but obviously her eyes are closed. Everyone else thinks she's out of it, so she's aware of everything. It was okay. It's not something I'd necessarily recommend. It was just alright. I started reading a book called Landline by Rainbow Rowell. Hopefully that's pronounced right. This is one that was recommended by Chris and Victoria at Two Vloggers More, who read a lot. So you get some really good book recommendations out of them. It's basically a story about a woman called Georgie, who I think her marriage is getting a little bit staid, a little bit stale. And she has to work. This massive big opportunities come up and she has to work over Christmas. She had planned to go to her mother-in-law's with the husband and children. She can't go. He gets quite hacked off and goes anyway with the kids. And inadvertently, she the premise of the book is she keeps trying to get hold of him. Things aren't very good between them, and she gets through to him on a landline at her mother's house. And somehow, these people are in like their late 30s, 37 I think she is, and somehow she gets a line through to her husband when he was like his 22-year-old self. So she's talking to the man that she knew when they started dating, when they first got together. And I haven't got much further than them starting to talk when he's younger, and just all of those problems being melted away and going back to what made her love him and all that stuff. So yeah, it's quite sweet at the minute. We'll see where it goes. I prefer my books a little bit darker. I prefer crime novels and things like that, or you know, but we'll see. That's all I've read this month and what I've started reading. This I pop in and out of this. I really like Edgar Allan Poe. This was actually written in or published in 1935, but this copy is a 1986 copy. But the original, the inside is, you can probably see how old it looks. The inside is like the original 1935 copy. I just love Edgar Allan Poe. The Raven's my favourite piece of writing ever. I know that's so stereotypical, but it is. Some little coloured drawing. If children only knew. Remember as a child the excitement of a colour drawing in a book. You used to get those different textured shiny pages with a coloured illustration rather than the black and white sketch. Yeah, that tells you how old I am, doesn't it? I'm nearly finished. So computers. I've told you the last couple of times I've got the Resident Evil, the latest one. I've even forgot what it's called, it's been that long. And the Telltale Walking Dead game. I haven't played the Walking Dead one. I started it once and the amount of bad language on it, I had to switch it off because my son was in earshot. And the Resident Evil, I got to a stage where I'm trying to kill a boss called Jack with a chainsaw, and I got hacked off trying to do it, and just with my son going, "Ooh, that's scary," and having to switch it off. So when he goes to bed, I'm so tired. It's just I don't have the physical energy to start battling bosses with chainsaws. It's a really good game though. So I bought myself this last month Sims 4. I have never played a Sims game before, but I thought this is something I can potter away at when Isaac's around that it's not going to be offensive. So I've just started that, building my houses and putting my bits in, and she keeps weighing herself because I can't get to the toilet, and there's like no you're just thrown into the deep end. It tells you all of a sudden, oh, she's uncomfortable, and then you work out she needs a wee, and then I hadn't built the toilet at this stage, and I'm like, well, I haven't got a toilet, so I ended up having to put a toilet in the middle of the back garden so she could wee. And then another time I couldn't understand why she wouldn't go to the bathroom, and I figured out that the door wasn't on the right side of the room so she couldn't get in. But it doesn't tell you any of this. It doesn't tell you why the person can't do whatever it is. It's quite entertaining. I've only started it a couple of days ago, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. So that's computers. So the only other things I sort of written anything of note in the last month, anyone that knows me will know I don't go out very much. Health related reasons, fibro and ME. This last month I had 3 big trips out. I say big trips out. I had 3 things that apart from the cinema, which is fine because you're sat on your bum anyway. So I went to Lara Lodge for afternoon tea. That whole little fancy sandwiches and little buns and things and little mini desserts, and that was really nice. I put a vlog up about that. We went to the circus. Excuse me again. Went to the circus last night. No, we didn't. We went to the circus 2 nights ago. Because I just thought it would be nice for Isaac to experience a circus while he was a child. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really, really good. I was a bit concerned about the whole thing with the animals. I wanted to take him to a circus that didn't have animals because I worried about mistreatment and things. But I looked into it a lot and found a lot of very good reviews from animal charities in Ireland about Duffy Circus. So I thought, right, I'll give it a go. They had horses and dogs and a llama. They didn't do very much, to be honest. They weren't like overworked or anything, and they all looked really happy, and the dogs were all really waggy and barking because they were dead excited to do the little bit that they done. I could have done without the horses though, that it was a bit scary. We were sitting ringside right beside the horses, and they were like running around the ring, big massive horses. And I thought, if one of these takes a buck leap over this thing, I'm squished. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. And I met up with a friend called Becky. Becca, I think she prefers to be called. I hadn't seen Becky in over 2 years. We met up for lunch a couple of weeks back, and it was really nice to actually get a chance to have a grown-up chat with someone outside of my own house. We got to know each other many years ago. She dated, or she was with my a friend of mine at the time for a few years, and we met that way. And you know, we hadn't seen each other in such a long time. It was really nice to actually have a chance to go out and see someone. And we should be meeting up in a couple of weeks with her partner and Darren and Isaac, going for something nice to eat. So that'll be cool. What else have I written? Yes, I have to mention my friend Roy. I will pop a few pictures along here as I'm talking. I have known Roy now for 14 years, 13, 14, I don't know, quite a long time. What am I even saying? Roy's originally from Orkney. When I met Roy, he lived in Nottingham. I lived in Derby. We went to a few gigs together. We got to know each other a lot better. We become friends for a long time after. That's actually also how I met my best friend Kelly from Nottingham. She was a friend of Roy's also. So Roy is getting married, not this Saturday, but the one after, to Georgina. They've been together for a few years now. And they're getting married up in Orkney. He moved back to Orkney. I haven't seen Roy in a long time, unfortunately. He's moved back up to Orkney, and they're getting married. So I want to send out a massive congratulations to Roy and Georgina if they're watching this, and I hope that everything goes really, really well on the day. I would have loved to have been there. I'm gutted to not be able to go, but it's the prices of flights to Orkney are just ridiculous. I think even if we had have still been living in Yorkshire, it would have been more doable, but to get to Orkney from Ireland, it involves flying, and it is just so much. It's like 600 quid, 500-600 quid each for a flight, so it's like ridiculous. But yeah, I wanted to send a big congratulations and a good luck to Roy and Georgina for their wedding, and I'm looking forward to seeing the photographs. And good luck, Georgina, on taming Royston. Oh, dear me. Right, and finally, what am I going to say last? Yes, I have to plug Chris's site, The Cinephiliacs. Chris from, why does that always sound rude? Chris from Two Vloggers More is the editor-in-chief of a site called Cinephiliacs, it was principally a movie review site, but he also does articles on, excuse me, this is Pepsi Max. He does articles like 10 shows you need to binge watch right now. Just all different categories of movies and TV shows and nostalgia things, like Do You Remember, and talks about old programmes. Just the content. Chris is a really good author. The content's first rate. I need to get something put together for Chris has very kindly offered to let me write bits and bobs for it when I get a chance. Obviously they'll have to go through him to be looked over first, because Christ only knows what state it'll be. But I used to love to write. I used to write a lot, and I just haven't in years, and I really miss it. So with the amount of movies I watch, I'm going to try and get a few reviews over to Chris to get up there. But I really recommend it. I'll put the link below in the site. It'd be awesome if you go over there, give him a bit of support, give him a comment on the odd article would be really nice. It's just, I find these days so many people will read articles, will watch vlogs, but then they don't comment, and I find it really frustrating, because that's the reason the person's doing it in the first place. It's to start a conversation, it's to give a recommendation, it's to talk about things, it's to get the conversation flowing back and forth and get to know new people. And I know that's why Chris started his vlogs with his wife, and it's for myself the same reason. Just to connect, excuse me, connect with like-minded people. And so far I have to say, especially in the horror community, people have been lovely. It's been really, really nice. And the one downside, if you can call it a downside, is there's so many videos to try and get through and watch, and it's, I'm missing ones here and there, so apologies if I don't get watching all of everyone's vlogs, but I do try my best. So yeah, I think I will leave it there. So I've bored you sufficiently, I'm sure, at this stage. My little pink sparkly book. Yeah, so that was April. And that was my April favourites and what's been going on and all the rest. I hope you've enjoyed little bits and bobs. I hope you've managed to get this far. The people I know, I can trust and know will get through It's Chris and Victoria and Kelly and Dave. So hi guys, you may be the only one still here. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching if you have done, and no doubt I will be back in a few days with something or other else, who knows, and I will give you my May favourites in a month's time. So over and out from Lisa Loves.